I don't make videos on others' misfortunes. If you go through my channel, there's little to no videos on injuries. And the only videos I've made related to injuries or people's misfortunes, because I just don't think ethically or morally it's correct to profit off of somebody's misfortune. And those are stories. The story of Aaron Baines slipping and falling and almost becoming paralyzed during the Olympics, and then the Serbian player who lost his kidney in the World Cup. Those are the type of stories we've told in the past, and today that is going to be a similar theme. Just this Nikola Topić, thoughts and prayers go to him and his family. It seems the news is extremely positive. My colleague Michael Scotto at Hoops Hype says that Sam Presti announced that Nikola Topić, who missed all of his rookie season last year, the 2024 draft pick, recovering from a torn ACL he suffered playing for Red Star in Belgrade, Serbia, underwent hernia surgery about a week or two ago, and today it was announced that he is in chemotherapy for testicular cancer. Yes, boys, check your nuts. Like, it's actually one of the leading killers for teenage and young adults is testicular cancer, like cancer of the gonads, cancer of the balls. It's not cancer of the dick. So we're going to discuss it and go into length of this. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. It's seemingly going to be a recovery, but wow, this is interesting. And I'm just going to break it down as someone who works as a journalist for Hoops Hype, worked as a local news reporter on air for Nexstar in Topeka, Kansas, and has a master's and an undergraduate degree in journalism, and is currently doing his PhD in methodology, research, and evaluation. So I feel like I did a little research, I broke it down, and let's evaluate what this means. Like, comment, and subscribe. It'll help out the channel a ton, and I like to hear what you guys have to say. Let's acknowledge that this is an unprecedented medical situation that the Oklahoma City Thunder and Nikola Topić are navigating, a diagnosis and treatment for testicular cancer while coming off the rehab of a major lower body surgery. So I think if we just look at the timeline of events, how the Thunder organization has probably taken a deliberate and patient approach. Obviously, they're prioritizing Topic's personal needs following this diagnosis. And medically, testicular cancer offers an exceptionally positive prognosis. Survival rates for young men exceed 95%, even when they require systemic treatment. However, the decision to use chemotherapy indicates a clinical situation that's complex than a purely localized tumor, which that hernia surgery was probably getting rid of the tumor, and then they went back to do a biopsy and the cancer was still there. So let's talk about this, because Topić, he's a guy who the demands of his post-surgery ACL rehab, which aimed to rebuild the muscle, the neuromuscle control, and the cardiovascular endurance that he lost recovering, were something that I think also now having to do chemotherapy, bro, he's like getting set back to zero. And chemo induces fatigue. It, messes with your brain. And there is a potential cause of organ toxicity created through the radiation. And from a basketball perspective, this is almost a dual recovery that we're hoping that Topić can return to that pre-injury athletic profile, particularly as a functional mobility and quickness, which already scouts said that he was at best an average NBA athlete. And long term, is this gonna maybe shift his development arc to being more of a high IQ secondary playmaker than a guy who had lead guard potential? And I think the fortunate thing about this is that the OKC Thunder and Topić being in an organization that is uniquely positioned to manage this complex scenario as the defending champs with a young, deep, and established core, the team can afford to exercise extreme patience, providing Nikola Topić with a low-pressure environment focused solely on his long-term health. I think the player need and the organization having the capacity is the greatest non-medical asset in Topic's recovery. While no direct precedent exists for this specific combination of challenges, the history of athletes successfully returning from testicular cancer is something that I think gives anyone who's researched it a basis for optimism. Topic's path back to the NBA is going to be an extended and audacious one. Artists too. But I think if he shows the resilience, it's going to be huge for him. And this is someone that people agree that if it wasn't for the knee injury, would have been a top 5, maybe top 10 talent. And he might even end up being the steal of the draft, a 6'6" point guard who suffered a partially torn ACL playing for Red Star, and he was taken 12th overall. And knowing the severity of the injury, he was put on a team where he was able to undergo that red shirt. And July 24th, 2024 was when he underwent the successful ACL reconstruction surgery in LA. And after basically a year of dedicated rehab, the medical staff cleared Topić for on-court action at the start of the 2025-26 preseason, and he made his unofficial debut for the Thunder Sunday, October 5th, 2025 against the Hornets. And he had 10 points and 7 assists in 31 minutes. And obviously, the very next day, there was a statement put out that he underwent a testicular procedure. And I said earlier it was a hernia procedure, and I was wrong, as I think I was going off the dome, and I don't know why I thought it was hernia, but it was a testicular procedure is what they actually wrote, and that they would reevaluate him in 4 to 6 weeks. It's been about 3 weeks, and this sudden unexpected news is what happened. And for nearly 4 weeks, the term testicular procedure was the only public information we knew, and that's why I thought it was a hernia. And on October 30th, 2025, the Thunder general manager, Sam Presti, held a press conference to derive that clarity. And it's crazy to think about it, because he clarified that the procedure which Topić went in early October was at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston was in fact a biopsy to confirm the suspected diagnosis. And the timeline between the procedure and the public announcement did not stem from medical uncertainty, but resulted from the direct request from Topić himself. Presti explained that Topić didn't want to make this information public until he had begun the actual treatments. And I think this is interesting because this is a young player who's probably still processing a life-altering diagnosis privately before facing the public reaction. I think that shows a deep level of trust between the player, the franchise, the organization, and I think that's cool. Like, this is an immense psychological burden put on a 20-year-old kid, as not only is he now navigating such a personal crisis in the public eye, he still has to figure out how to make it in the NBA, and he's probably going to be sidelined for 2 years now. At worst, maybe best, he makes it back at some point. So that's basically my thoughts on this. It's a very interesting situation if you're looking at it from the inside out. And yeah, I want to hear your guys' opinions. What do you guys think? And it's interesting because this hopefully is not going to be something that defines him and he's going to be able to bounce back, but we're still waiting. So let me know. Ciao.